Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch.
The Oscars.
Hey, y'all, hey. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Sisters Who Watch.
I'm Shelby.
And I'm Laura. And we're sisters who watch everything. TV, movies, sports, concerts, and even way too long award shows. We love to watch, and we love talking about it even more. Today we're watching...
The Oscars. That's right. The 96th Academy Awards awarding the Best in Film for 2023.
Oh, snap. Okay, and before we get into this minisode of SWW, please make sure you're following us on all social media platforms, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're there. Go follow us at Sisters Who Watch.
Everywhere.
And make sure yes, everywhere. And make sure you give us 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review. That would be amazing. Okay. Shelby, for this minisode, so this is our first time doing it, but we're just going to give you rapid fire opinions, our thoughts on the Oscars 2024. Okay, so Shelby, who were the favorites to win coming into the show? What were your expectations?
It was all about Oppenheimer.
Yes.
It was the front runner from the beginning since it came out last July of 2023. We saw it, the 3-hour epic on J. Robert Oppenheimer. We have a episode on it, so check that out.
Yes.
And it may not have been our favorite movie from the past year, but it has been winning all the awards. It's been winning Best Picture, Best Drama, and almost every award show. So it really became like the clear favorite for director as well. Christopher Nolan, an icon, finally getting, his due at the Oscars. In addition to Oppenheimer, Poor Things and Killers of the Flower Moon also had the most nominations going into the night. Worked out better for Poor Things than Killers, but we can get into that later. And then lastly, I'll highlight that a lot of international movies were surging. And, the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences is not just based in the US. They have members from all over the world, so that can be a factor. But movies like Anatomy of the Fall, which are from France, and Zone of Interest. But you had both of these movies that were international titles getting a lot of buzz, not only being nominated for Best Picture, but for Best Director, Best Screenplay, like a really big deal. So we love to see how the Oscars are becoming like more international and supporting, world cinema.
Totally. America can be very America-centric, of course. So it was cool that, even though Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie got snubbed, a lot of people think, but it did give room to more international names.
Like Justine Triet and Sandra Hüller.
Exactly.
They got recognized. I saw Anatomy of the Fall and Zone of Interest. Did you?
I saw the Zone of Interest, not Anatomy of the Fall.
What did you think?
I thought the Zone of Interest was really, really good. We didn't review these titles, but it was intense, as we expected. It's about the Holocaust in Auschwitz, but so well done. Like, so eerie. You're on the edge of your seat the whole time. But, they never showed anything, like, explicit or graphic, but you, just felt the tension. I thought it was really well done. I really enjoyed it.
100% agree. Not the lightest film, and neither is Anatomy of the Fall, since it's about a murder and a struggling marriage. But they were really well done, and I can see why they got so much buzz. Anatomy of the Fall won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, Zone of Interest got a lot of buzz over the last year, so it does make sense to me why they would then, be at the Oscars doing so well.
I saw the Zone of Interest at a matinee, 11 a.m. Perfect time to see the movie.
Yeah, don't want to see that right before bed.
No.
I saw it in the afternoon, but it was earlier enough. I can't see the late night showing for that one.
No. So also, Shelby, you mentioned to me that some people are expecting there to be a bigger audience for this Oscars, right? Because of Barbie and Oppenheimer, these huge box office hits were all nominated.
Yeah, people were hopeful because last year, right, the biggest movie was Top Gun Maverick, but it wasn't really competing for anything, right? The movies that did really well were from A24, like Everything Everywhere All at Once and The Whale. but those are like indie movies, right? Those are small movies that don't have the same kind of audience that a Barbie and Oppenheimer hit. And even in the past, you look at Shape of Water or Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Like, those are not the most commercial titles. No. So I think coming in, people were hopeful between Barbenheimer and like The Holdovers, Poor Things, which recently crossed 100 million globally at the box office. Like, they were hoping that these movies people actually came out and saw would lead to a bigger audience. Technically, the audience increased. The viewership for Sunday night was 19.5 million viewers, which is a 4% increase from last year. But people were hoping it might be even bigger than that, like reach like the mid 20 millions. And what's crazy is pre-pandemic, the Oscars used to reach like 40 million viewers, which seems insane now. You know, maybe it'll get back to that, but they need to find a way to be more relevant. We'll say there has been some dialogue that the earlier start time could have been a factor. The Oscars usually start at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, but this year started an hour earlier at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. But it was also daylight savings. So we all lost an hour. So it's almost like starting 2 hours earlier. So I'm curious if that, I know, right? You're like, ooh, like it was like 3 p.m. in LA. And I was like, wait, the Oscars start an hour? It was crazy. So I can imagine that maybe being a factor of, you know, people not being ready or prepared to see the show so early.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because I was in a big group of friends and people were like, oh, the Oscars started. People are already winning. And I was like, what time is it? Like, it was really early. So, yeah, that definitely could have affected it as well. So, what were some of your favorite moments? I guess we can start with a monologue, right? Jimmy Kimmel hosting again.
Yes.
We reviewed last year's Oscars and he was also the host. What did you think of his monologue this time around?
I thought it was good. I thought he had the good balance of some punchy jokes as well as, you know, being supportive of the night and all of the people nominated. He did mention Greta Gerwig's director snub, which, you know, got a lot of crowd noise. But he was like, well, you guys are the people that snubbed her. So it was funny because it's like, people were like, yeah, Greta Gerwig. But yeah, we also didn't vote for her. Like, you could tell it was like kind of awkward. And then at the end of his monologue, he talked about how the industry is going to be supporting the other guilds as they might be headed towards a strike. So we all know this past year, the Writers Guild and the Actors Guild did go on strike. This year, other guilds like Teamsters and IATSE that tend to be more below the line may be heading that way as well. So it was nice to see that support from like the actors saying that they will be there for their fellow guild members.
Yeah, I was happy they talked about the strikes. Like, that was such a huge part of the year. So that was super, super important. And he also had a couple of jokes about Robert Downey Jr. that were kind of awkward. He talked about, like, kind of alluded to his, you know, past drug use. And Downey was like, keep going. He, like, didn't really like that. So I thought that was interesting. They also had some pretty funny presenter moments. Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, like that, they had good chemistry together.
Yeah, and I mean, they're about to be in a movie, The Fall Guy, so they were purposefully, I would say, strategically up there for presenting and talking about stunts because their movie is about stunts. But they had, like you said, good chemistry, and they were joking about the Barbenheimer phenomenon. You know, Ryan Gosling saying that Oppenheimer rode Barbie's coattails all summer, and then Emily Blunt saying Oppenheimer had the better award season. Like, it was funny how they were poking jabs at each other. I'd say the funniest presenter, though, was definitely John Cena, who, when he was going to present for costume design, came out naked, holding the envelope. Crazy. You could tell it was the funniest bit. Everyone in the audience was here for it. He eventually did have a costume change and was clothed to present the award, but he committed to the bit and he looked great, almost like too jacked. Like, did it seem real?
He's huge.
And then lastly, you know, there's gorgeous fashion. We love the Oscars for the fashion too. Some of the more stylish presenters to me were Zendaya, who looked great, Issa Rae looked great. Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, the Wicked dynamic duo looked great. I was here for it.
Yeah, Zendaya serves every single time. Like, the Dune premieres,
Fashion
her
icon.
looks have been 10 out of 10 these days. Absolutely, absolutely. We also had some great speeches. I mean, Da'Vine Joy Randolph. We've been talking about her. We've been fans of her, for a long time. And
we've
seen
her
in
Essence
person.
Fest
Yeah, we saw her at Essence Fest. So seeing her win is just so special. She dominated all award season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, her speech was just so heartwarming.
Yes. And I recently saw her at the Essence Hollywood House kind of talk about her career. It's just so inspiring. And in her speech, she mentioned how she'd felt like she wasn't enough, and she was grateful for people that like inspired her and poured into her and told her that, yes, you can be an actress. And look at her now, Academy Award winning actress. You love to see it.
Great.
I also really loved Cord Jefferson's speech. He's the writer-director of American Fiction, and he won the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay for his first ever feature film. I mean, talk about inspiring. So amazing. And in his speech, he talked about how studios need to make less $200 million movies and more $5 and $10 million movies. And I was like, yes, preach. Okay, that is true. We need to give more people opportunities like Cord, to make the $5-10 million movies. But also, we don't always need superhero movies or big action movies. Less Fast and the Furiouses and more American Fictions. Please.
100%. Go check out our episode on American Fiction. We dive in, talk about Cord Jefferson and his background and how much we loved the story and the script. So, well deserved. So much Black excellence. Come on.
Truly. I was here for it. And I mean, the highlight for me of the entire award show was Ryan Gosling performing I'm Just Ken live.
Iconic.
Shocker, we love Barbie. Listen to our Barbie episode. We're big Ryan Gosling fans.
Yes.
We thought I'm Just Ken was such a good song. And the way he performed it, he was in the audience and then on stage and singing and dancing and all this choreography. I mean, it was a production. I mean, by far the best original song performance I've seen at the Oscars ever.
100%.
Didn't even compare. Billie Eilish was just standing, singing by the piano for hers, and Ryan is performing like the true entertainer he is.
Brad, Billie Eilish.
So good. And I just think in general, Barbie had a major presence throughout the night.
Yes.
They played Dance the Night Away throughout the show. They showed clips of Barbie. They had Jimmy Kimmel open the show with him sitting on the bench talking to Margot like he's in a Barbie movie. So even though Barbie sadly only won one award at Oscar night, it really did have a major presence, and I think is still a big winner.
100%. I mean, that performance, I'm Just Ken, that's what everyone's talking about, right? Before I saw the show and saw the performance, I heard people being like, oh my gosh, Ryan Gosling's performance, everyone was talking about it. It's instantly iconic. So good. I love who's in the crowd. And I was shocked at how good he sounded, right? Because you could tell he was singing live. And I loved he was like laughing throughout the performance. He was giggling. Simu Liu was out there, dancing. Mm-hmm. It was great to see him. Slash, like a super famous guitarist, did a guitar solo. It was so good.
The entire...
And they lifted Ryan Gosling in the air and spun him around. I was like, who did this? Who designed this performance? They deserve an award. They deserve an Oscar.
Honestly.
Right?
The entire crowd was on their feet. Yes. It honestly kind of made me annoyed because it showed that Ryan Gosling was so good as Ken, and I'm Just Ken was such a good song that it's crazy to me that he didn't win an Oscar and that song didn't win an Oscar.
Yeah, I'm Just Ken was such a highlight. And like you said, Barbie only won one award for the Billie Eilish song, which I know neither of us are a huge fan of. I think it's the third best song of the movie.
At least. It might be the fourth, because you've Danced the Night Away, I'm Just Ken, and Barbie World.
I think it is the fourth best song of the movie.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Could be even lower, because I'm not a Billie Eilish fan, so.
No, the song's okay. Yeah, so that was tough. But also, if you listen to some of our past episodes, we loved Killers of the Flower Moon. That was my top movie of 2023. And the fact that it got shut out, no awards, RIP. RIP.
Devastating. And, Past Lives also got shut out. Maestro got shut out. But I think Killers is the most glaring because we really liked that. And I thought it was a masterpiece. I really just think the length affected people. But if you get past the fact that it's 3.5 hours, it's a really good movie. And, really I was hoping Lily Gladstone would win Best Actress, but Emma Stone pulled it out, who's great in Poor Things, but she's already won for La La Land, and this would have been a huge win for Lily as, like, the first Native American actress to ever win Best Actress. So there's a lot of power and weight if Lily had won. So it was sad that did not happen.
Just imagine what that would have done.
Like the magnitude. Like, it's such a big deal.
A big deal. And it's like, who cares? Who cares about Emma Stone? Not me.
Yikes.
Not me.
I feel like they're trying to make her the next Meryl Streep, and it's just weird to think that the girl who was in Easy A and Superbad could be like Meryl Streep. I mean, the glow up. We'd love to see it. But I agree. I think I care less about Emma winning a second Oscar and way more about Lily winning her first one and the magnitude of that.
Like, I literally don't care. Emma Stone's probably going to be nominated for an Oscar every other year.
I know.
When is Lily Gladstone going to be nominated for another Oscar?
There were a few winners that won Oscars and were not there. Wes Anderson for Best Live Action Short and Hayao Miyazaki for Best Animated Feature. If you're nominated for an Oscar, shouldn't you be there? Yeah. And if you win, it's kind of weird and annoying for the, non-winners that they were there and you didn't show up.
Right.
So totally. I don't like that. It reminds me of the year that Chadwick Boseman was slated to win for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and lost to Anthony Hopkins from The Father, who wasn't even there. So not only did Chadwick Boseman, who recently died, didn't win, Anthony Hopkins, who did win, wasn't there. Just come on.
Jail.
Make the effort.
Yeah, bad. What were some of the biggest upsets of the night?
It's tough because I think everyone's qualified and there weren't like crazy upsets, but one, Zone of Interest winning Best Sound over Oppenheimer. I thought the sound in Zone of Interest was so powerful. But, Oppenheimer's a juggernaut, so people thought it would probably win that. We already mentioned Cord Jefferson winning for American Fiction, Best Adapted Screenplay. So deserving. It's just that was like a stacked category. Poor Things, Oppenheimer, Barbie, Holdovers. So it's huge that he beat out those contenders and won. Poor Things won Makeup and Hairstyling over Maestro. Everyone thought because of Bradley Cooper's nose in the movie that Maestro would win.
That prosthetic nose.
The prosthetic nose. And it didn't. Clearly a lot of love for Poor Things that I think eventually led to Emma Stone winning. And then lastly, Boy and the Heron winning over Spider-Verse for animated film. We have been on the record, listen to our Spider-Verse episode, that we did not love the sequel. So I'm not shook it didn't win the Oscar. But Twitter was going off. People thought that it was robbed, which, a little strong. I don't know if it's Oscar worthy.
Yeah, robbed is strong. Okay, was Oscars 2024 the 96 Oscars? Is it a wait or watch, Shelby?
I think it's a watch. It was one of the more entertaining ceremonies in a while. There was no drama, no slap, no card mix-up.
Thank God.
It had entertaining performances. It had, really emotional, thoughtful speeches. Like, I enjoyed it. And if you don't watch the whole show, just watch the I'm Just Ken performance and the monologue, and you'll be set.
Literally, I'm Just Ken. Everyone's got to see it. Everyone's got to watch it. It was so, so good. I think if you enjoy award shows and you're into Hollywood, yeah, go watch it. But I feel like hour-long award shows are kind of over. It's
3.5 hour long.
It's way too long. So kind of a watch. So under our What's Watch segment, what Oscar baity movies are coming out? Like, what do you think is going to be a huge contender coming into the next year's Oscar?
It's hard to know, because of the strikes, I think some movies are shifting and it's hard to know what will really release this year. But I do think Shirley, that's about to come out on Netflix, starring Regina King. It's a biopic on Shirley Chisholm. That kind of seems Oscar baity. That could be, maybe for Regina King's performance, like a Oscar-worthy role, come next year. Also, A Real Pain, which premiered at Sundance. Jesse Eisenberg's directing and wrote it. It stars Kieran Culkin, everyone's favorite from Succession. Yeah. That movie I could see have some traction and possibly get awards buzz next year. Right. Of course, Dune 2 just came out. We have not seen it yet, but it's getting rave reviews, and that could possibly also be an awards contender next year.
Good to know.
Yes. Well, and the last thing I'll say for what to watch is that right after the Oscars, there was the new episode of Abbott Elementary, and there is a surprise cameo of an Oscar-nominated actor. I will not say who, but it was a pleasant surprise.
Ooh, that's a good teaser. That's a good teaser. Well, if y'all enjoyed this episode, this mini-sode of Sisters Who Watch, please give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, and leave us a review. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, and make sure you follow us on all our social medias at Sisters Who Watch, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. We're there.
Yes, we want to hear from y'all. You can also email us at sisterswhowatch@gmail.com, DM us on social media. You can comment on our posts, do our Q&As and polls on Spotify. We want to hear from y'all, and we're so grateful for the support. Thank you for tuning in. Stay watching.